What is it like to travel on the Eurostar? What is it like in terms of booking a Eurostar train, the check-in procedures, and what happens when things go wrong, when you miss your Eurostar home? All is explained in this video. So hi everyone and welcome back to another video, and if you're new to our channel, thanks for clicking on the Brownie Life today and watching us. So today's video is all about travelling on the Eurostar. Now in all honesty, I wasn't going to put this video out because we've actually travelled to and from Disneyland Paris, and our video, our travel day video, is over on our second channel, which is Disney Brownies. If you wanted to check that out, feel free to go do that. That's all our travel day to Disneyland Paris. Now at the same time as putting that out, I did actually start thinking, do you know what, in terms of Eurostar travel advice, I think we actually do know quite a lot of information. When we were going to Disneyland Paris, it wasn't a train to Paris or Disneyland Paris, it was actually the train to Amsterdam, and this is what made me think that actually a lot of you that might be watching our channel or might be new to our channel but are not interested at all in Disneyland Paris but might want to know, you know, top tips or information to do with travelling by Eurostar to another country. So as I say, when we were going along to Disneyland Paris, we did actually get the Amsterdam train. So you might be travelling to Amsterdam, you might be travelling to Paris, you might be travelling further on to Germany, and a lot of this information is pretty much the same wherever you're travelling, you know, within Europe. I think a lot of this information would be really useful to any of you out there, and especially people that are travelling by Eurostar for the first time. Now the biggest thing that we learned this time is what happens when you actually miss your Eurostar home. Yeah, that's right everyone. We actually missed our Eurostar train. Now firstly, I've got to point out it wasn't our fault. So it wasn't that we were late, it wasn't that we did anything wrong, and I'm going to explain a little bit further into the video as to what happened to us on our trip home from Disneyland Paris, how it was resolved, how we got home, because clearly, you know, we're home, we got home safe and sound, you know, what happened and what did Eurostar do. So first of all, I'm just going to touch upon our thoughts as a family of what we think of the Eurostar, the booking procedure, checking in, etc. So I'm going to go through each of those stages one at a time. So first of all, what do we think of the Eurostar? We've been travelling by Eurostar for many years now, always to Disneyland Paris. I have flown to Paris itself, haven't used the Eurostar. We've always gone to Disneyland Paris. In our experience, because we have had to change trains, we've had to use interconnecting trains and things such as that, and we've had quite a lot of experience in using the Eurostar. Personally, for us as a family, it's definitely one of our preferred methods of transport. I absolutely love travelling on the Eurostar. Now, there are queues in check-in, don't get me wrong, there are issues that can be frustrating, like with any travel method. You know, you're never going to get anything 100% perfect, but for us personally, going along to Disneyland Paris, and if we were just travelling to Paris or travelling to Brussels, because Brussels isn't even as far, I genuinely think that it's such a good way, a really easy and quick way of travelling to all of these other destinations. You do hear bad reviews about Eurostar, or you hear people's horror stories or whatever. You know, sometimes I think you've got to do it for yourself. You've got to see for yourself as to whether it's something that you like. Personally, I mean, we do travel quite a lot, but I'm not a keen flyer at all. I don't really like travelling by plane. So for me, travelling by train is wonderful. I love it. And the Eurostar, as I say, is so simple, so easy. It feels like you clicked your fingers and you're in France. It really, really does. So what I'm going to show you first of all is us actually getting to King's Cross Station, because obviously we had to get a train from home over to King's Cross Station and then transferring across. So it's literally just a few minutes walk from King's Cross Station over to St Pancras Station, where you catch the Eurostar. So I'm going to put in a few bits of footage because obviously obviously I've taken a lot of this footage for our Disneyland Paris trip, for our Disney Brownie channel, but some of this footage I'm going to pop in here because I do believe that it'll be really useful for any of you that don't know what to do in terms of when you arrive at King's Cross or St Pancras, you know, how you get there, what you do when you're actually there, check-in procedures and things such as that. So I'm going to pop in some footage now of our day when we were travelling. So we arrived in King's Cross, how we got to St Pancras station, just a little bit about the station while we're in there, and then the check-in procedures when we get to the Eurostar. So we're here in London, yay! Arrived in King's Cross. We're on our way over to St Pancras, aren't we? Yeah. So we've had a train journey and then we're going to get onto the Eurostar. So come with us. So King's Cross just there behind, we've just come from, and then heading straight across the road to St Pancras station there. Really easy to follow to get across to it. Let's go. So the board's up there just saying that we're getting the 11:04 to Amsterdam. So even though it doesn't say Paris, etc., it's because we're changing at Lille and then going to Disneyland Paris. So it's actually the Amsterdam train. So as I say, this is all the check-in area here, and usually you come about an hour and a half before, or that's sort of the maximum time to start checking you in from. So we're just here in St Pancras station, M&S just behind. So there's definitely lots of places where you can eat and drink, isn't there? There's lots of cafes around, meal deals and things. Yeah, back at King's Cross, Emily's dad's just gone to get a Boots meal deal, hasn't he? But there's M&S and there's lots of places like that. So this is all St Pancras station. As I say, lots of little cafes, places to eat, toilets, eateries, as I say, meal deals with M&S and places like that. So we're gonna go check in then. So as you will have seen already from that footage, check-in procedures at London is usually around 90 minutes before, so an hour and a half before your Eurostar is going to go. The gates do tend to close around the half an hour mark, but I definitely wouldn't leave it too late in the day at all because you would always risk not catching your Eurostar. You also do have to bear in mind, and it has happened to us before, in really, really busy times of year, busy seasons, you may be asked to check in earlier than the 90 minutes, but you would always get confirmation of that. As far as I remember, I'm pretty sure our first trip in the summertime coming out of the pandemic, I'm pretty certain that we had to allow 2 hours before for check-in. And I do believe that that is something that Eurostar can do in really, really busy times, height of season. Obviously this year, 2024, I think it's towards the end of July till the middle of August, I think it's that sort of time period, there is the Olympics. So the Olympics that have been held in Paris 2024. Don't forget that, guys. If you're traveling to Paris or Disneyland Paris or anywhere near that vicinity, you know, you may have to check in a lot earlier. Again, Eurostar would advise all of these things to you, you know, by email. They would keep you informed if you do need to check in any earlier than the usual standard 90 minutes. When I say the standard 90 minutes, in all honesty, we've checked in before less than that. We've gone maybe an hour before. What we've usually done is when we first arrived in St Pancras, we've kind of sort of checked out what the queue situation is looking like, and if the queues are really, really busy, we've just got straight into the queue just to get through check-in and security and get to the other side. But if it's quite quiet, you know, if you're traveling sort of midweek and it's quite a quiet day, it might be that you're absolutely fine checking in maybe an hour before. But as I say, I'd always sort of go on the caution side of trying to be there 90 minutes before, an hour and a half, get checked in, because then you're through and then you've got all of that stress taken away from you. Now, in terms of booking, I find booking Eurostar just really, really simple, easy to use. So does my husband. He tends to do it more. I tend to be looking at the times of the trains, the prices of the trains, etc. He tends to do a lot of the booking. But in all fairness, I find it a really, really easy website to use. You can book your trains quite far in advance for quite a lot of different destinations. Now, this is a massive, massive top tip. If there's one thing that I can advise you and I can tell you about Eurostar, is this: never think you're going to get a last minute deal. You're not. Never think that if you're going to travel a week before somewhere and you're booking your train tickets that you're suddenly going to get this amazing deal from Eurostar. You're not. You simply do need to book any train tickets for Eurostar way in advance. Now, when we go to Disneyland Paris, we often book our trips to Disneyland Paris a long time in advance, basically as soon as you can pretty much book them on the Disneyland Paris website. So at the same time, we would love to book our Eurostar, but you can't always do that. When you get in a interconnecting train via Lille to Disneyland Paris. I won't touch too much upon the Disneyland Paris route because that's not going to appeal to all of you, but just to give you as an example, because it's an interconnecting train, when you get to Lille in France, you get on a French train, which then takes you to Disney. It's not quite as simple. So the trains usually is about 3 to 4 months before usually come out on the website, and that's pretty much when we book them. As soon as they come out, we're watching them day by day as it's getting towards our trip, and then we book them as soon as we possibly can. So really for you guys, if you're traveling to say Amsterdam or Paris or Brussels, I do believe a lot of those trips currently right now, I have double checked today, and when I've checked previously, when I've been looking at other destinations, I do believe a lot of destinations are kind of 6 months-ish ahead, sometimes a lot more than that. It does depend on the destination. But what I would definitely highly recommend is as soon as you're thinking of going somewhere, so for argument's sake, if you're thinking, right, I want to go to Paris, just look straight away, look at the dates of where they go up to on the website, because the further ahead it is, the cheaper your price. Generally speaking, you might be lucky because you might get, say, a midweek train or something. I think taking out Mondays, because sometimes Mondays can be a really busy travel day, and Fridays into the weekend, etc., can be busy too. I think if you're traveling midweek, you might be really lucky at getting a really cheap Eurostar destination ticket somewhere. But as a general rule, you need to look as far ahead as you possibly can. So once you're planning your trip, just check on the Eurostar, how far in advance are they going, are they looking at the moment? And if your trip isn't quite there, just keep an eye on it, and as soon as they come out, look at the times and book your travel ticket as soon as you possibly can. I can't stress that enough, because we've not really ever made the mistake of leaving it too late, but we have left it before a little bit later than we usually would. And it can make a massive difference. Day by day, it can make a big difference. And for instance, for us personally, sometimes we've been paying prices such as £39, £40, £49 each way to go all the way to Disneyland Paris. Sometimes when we've checked those prices a week or two before, either one, they're unavailable, or two, if you can get them, you're paying a few £100s each way. It's ridiculous. The prices of the Eurostar can absolutely massively increase, you know, week upon week, month upon month. It really, really is something that you have to book early. It's not something you're going to get a really last minute deal. Everything that we've ever done for quite a lot of years, we've been traveling by Eurostar since 2017. All the information, everything that we've ever looked into ourselves does suggest that the earlier you book, the cheaper your tickets are going to be, or dependent upon, you know, the month and the week, midweek, etc., could be a lot cheaper, yes, but you're definitely going to get the best deals if you're booking as early as you can. Now, when you're booking a Eurostar train, you might be able to do a standard Prremier or a business class sort of train. Obviously, all of those things are definitely going to cost way more money. When I say way more, sometimes the standard Prremier isn't that much more to upgrade, and then you therefore can get a light meal and a drink. And I think you sat in just slightly a little bit more spacious area. We have done that once before, we really enjoyed it, but we actually only upgraded by about £10 to get those tickets. So in all fairness, if you're only increasing your ticket by about £10 each, it's most definitely worth it. But in most cases, you are looking at a big amount, really more to pay to go standard Prremier. So all tickets are usually just standard, but you can pay extra to go, as I say, standard Prremier, which includes a light meal and a drink, more spacious surroundings for you to sit in, and then there's other classes, as I say, such as business, which would definitely be a lot higher in terms of the price amount to pay for that. So at the time of check-in, you should obviously have up-to-date passports. All of that information would obviously be on government websites, etc. Things that you need to check to make sure you've definitely got enough time on your passport. I won't go through all of that because obviously individually everybody should be just checking the passport, the countries they're going to, etc., just to make sure you've definitely got enough time on your passport. I did meet a guy actually in Disneyland Paris in a queue, and he did actually say that his passport, I think it was like a couple of days or something, that was off the few months that you needed before the expiry, something on those lines. And it was literally a few days out, that was all, and he was stopped. He wasn't allowed to come over. He had to go through all different procedures. He was allowed to travel eventually, but he was delayed in terms of his family had to go first and he had to travel later. So beware everyone, check those dates on your passport, make sure you've got plenty of time in accordance to the country that you're travelling to and from. check-in queues can get really big in terms of checking in for a Eurostar train. Yes, they can. In all honesty, we've only had a couple of times where it's been so busy that by the time you've got through, and that is allowing an hour and a half to check in, that by the time you've got through the check-in, through the security, you've got to the other side, you're literally boarding your train, that's it, you're going. We've only really had that happen to us a couple of times, so I can't say that every journey has been a nightmare, it's been so busy, because yes, there are queues, but in all fairness, I do feel that at Eurostar, you know, particularly the London end, they do get through people really, really fast. And even when we've been travelling via Lille to Disneyland Paris, on the way back, the journey going back through Lille is where you do a lot of your passport control and security. You don't do it at Disneyland Paris, you actually do it at Lille itself. So anyone who's interested in that sort of journey, that's definitely, you know, a top tip to know, that you're doing all of those check-in things at Lille in France. And I find they get through people very, very fast as well. So you can have a long line of people, it does seem to move. But for us personally as a family, we have seen massive queues, yes, but they have moved very, very fast usually from the Eurostar staff, you know, directing everybody, getting the people through as quickly as they can, through the security, through the passport. So usually by the check-in procedure, as I've already explained and I've mentioned about the passport situation, you will have then a ticket. So whether you've got it on your phone, whether you've printed it out to scan at the actual gates, because when you check in, you're going through a line of people. When you first enter the line, they will actually indicate to you which possible train you might be getting. So for instance, we were getting the Amsterdam train this time, but there was a train going to Paris. So if that other train was going earlier than yours, your queue would be behind that queue, if you see what I mean. So if you enter the queue late and your train is going earlier than somebody else's, you're not going to be put in a queue far behind lots of other people in an effort to speed that up for you, you know, to make sure you try to get on your train, they will put you in the other queue. So as I said, there will be big signs on check-in to indicate which train you're going to get, which line you should take. So you go through that line, you're about to do the check-in, all it is simply scanning your phone or your document that you've printed off, you know, with all your pass details, you scan it at the gate, you go through and then you enter security.
Alright, yeah, I'm good. Just gonna go through. So we need to find the Amsterdam one. That's it, the 1104. Thank you. Oh, it's this way.
Just a bit more steps, yeah?
Thank you. So I'm just scanning the ticket through to departures. See you later, Em.
Now at security, I have obviously filmed different bits and pieces in check-in. I've never filmed the actual security element. I don't believe you're allowed to. I was actually approached when I was filming this time as I was walking through, and a Eurostar lady did actually say to me, you know, you're not allowed to film in the security aspect, which I wouldn't have dreamed of doing that anywhere, because, you know, it's highly secure, and you know, you don't want to put out there footage on YouTube of exactly what you're doing in terms of security. All I would say is it is a little bit different in terms of airport security. So usually in airport security, you've usually already got rid of your cases and you just have your hand luggage, you go through a scanner, your bags do, etc. You may need to take certain things off, certain things in your bag. That part is the same, but the part that is different is your suitcases go through a scanner as well. So unfortunately, you do have to pick up your suitcases. If they are large or they are heavy, yeah, could be a bit of an issue, and some people might have problems with that, but you do have to put your suitcase onto the conveyor belt, so to speak, to go through a scanner itself, and then you go through a separate scanner. So it is kind of similar to airport security, but it is different in itself as well. So all the suitcases, hand luggage, everything goes through with you. Now in terms of suitcases, you know, what you can actually take with you, I do believe that it is actually two items per person, as in 2 cases per person, and an item of hand luggage. Now for all of our trips to Disneyland Paris, we've only ever really taken 2 or 3 cases maximum, and then some hand luggage each as well. So we've tried to travel, well, I don't think my husband would say we travel light, because in all honesty, we probably don't. And this time we definitely didn't, because we had 3 cases, and that is a struggle. Not on the Eurostar. The Eurostar's never an issue in getting your luggage on. There's always plenty of space. You never need to worry about that. If you're going on a direct Eurostar from London to another destination, you genuinely don't need to worry in terms of your luggage. There isn't any restrictions on liquids. And as I say, the current guidance, as far as I'm aware, is up to 2 items per person and an item of hand luggage. But as I say, usually we just stick to 1 suitcase, potentially each, and 1 hand luggage, just to try to keep it as much to a minimum, because there is a lot that you're having to lift and go through security, etc. The biggest thing for us is when we're getting the interconnecting train from Lille. So when we go to Disneyland Paris and we get off at Lille, you then get on a French interconnecting train. Now, this is something that would affect a lot of you that are just going to a certain destination and then maybe getting a separate train, whether it be a French train or whether it be some other train, you know, from another destination going somewhere else. This would apply to you. So watch your, you know, suitcases and your actual luggage element for that type of journey, because if you've got a lot of luggage, it is definitely going to cause a problem. The trains from Lille to Disneyland Paris get so incredibly busy, and if you've got loads of luggage, it just isn't going to help you at all, because everyone and thousands of no, it's not thousands, don't worry, it's not thousands of suitcases, but it feels like that. It feels like so many people are getting on a train with lots of luggage. So those interconnecting trains away from Eurostar are definitely going to be busy, and lots of luggage going on there, especially around the areas such as Charles de Gaulle Airport, which if you go into Disneyland Paris, you do pass through there. That's something to note as well. But on Eurostar itself, as I say, if you're getting a direct destination, you really don't need to worry. There's always been lots of space on Eurostar. There's so many helpful staff on Eurostar as well to help you out, so I never have to worry about anything like that. We were getting the Amsterdam train, as I said before. As we were getting on it, we realised that when we got onto the coach that we needed to get onto, we got on through the doorway, realised, well, the luggage was all full. What do we do? And a kind gentleman there from Eurostar was literally in the doorway and said, right at the side of you, sort of the next coach, there was lots of space there. So he directed us. And I've always found all of the staff incredibly helpful, and everyone just really tries to help you as much as they possibly can. So I genuinely don't think you need to worry in terms of the luggage. If you get onto the Eurostar and there is a problem with your luggage in terms of space, just try to find somebody, and I'm sure somebody would be able to help. One thing to note as well is if you do have really small suitcases, they usually can be stored above you rather than in the luggage areas near where the doors are and things. They usually try to encourage people that if you've got really small cases, just to put them overhead. And that does apply to the interconnecting trains in Lille as well, if you were going through somewhere like that, because that does really help to get the suitcases away from the door areas. In terms of boarding a Eurostar train, usually you get an announcement about 20 minutes before, potentially it could be up to 30 minutes, but usually for us, we've always found it's been about 20 minutes before the time of your train leaving. You just get an announcement in the area where you're waiting. In London, there isn't an awful lot there in terms of cafes and things like that. There is toilets and there's a few different areas where you can sit or have a drink, etc. It does get incredibly busy in that area for definite. So you get called 20 minutes before your train is about to leave, and it does actually say which platform your train is going to be departing from. So very straightforward. The screen's up, there's announcements, there's nothing really to worry about at all. It's quite straightforward in terms of what you do after the security, you know, after the check-in and things like that, and what you need to do when your platform is announced, and then you go obviously to get your train. There is a cafe area in the Eurostar in terms of things that you can buy, food and drink. We've just never really bothered. We've always got food and drink beforehand and taken it on board, so that's entirely up to you as to what you choose to do. So I'm going to head to some footage now of us getting onto the Eurostar train in London, and then a little bit of time on the train itself arriving in France, just to show you really what it's like on board a Eurostar.
Cheers, Em.
Cheers. Got my £4 Coke.
Yeah, well no, it's £3.70 to be fair. So this is just like a little bar, coffee place. Sell sandwiches and croissants and different bits.
Quite nice actually.
Enjoying our drink. Well, we've only got about 20 minutes, haven't we? And then we'll be boarded.
Please check the coach and order your ticket and port your allocated departure gates.
Platform's been announced. Yep, so it's usually about 20 minutes before departure, isn't it? That they announce the platform on the boards. We go up that escalator there. So usually there's a queue that forms and then you just go up the escalator to your Eurostar, I think. Yep, here we are. You alright there, darling?
Not really, no. Come on, Dad! He's still stuck.
He's got 2 cases, to be fair. I just said we're walking on ahead.
Yeah.
Right, so coach 12 is it?
12.
So yeah, once you know your coach number, find the coach and then get on it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go.
It still amazes me now how quick that journey is to get from London all the way through to Lille in France. Even though we've done that journey so many times over several years, it still amazes me, as I say, how quick it actually is. So the time in the tunnel, you'll have already seen our footage there. I just thought that would be really interesting, you know, just to show everybody how long it actually does take to get over to France, etc. In terms of Eurostar services, I definitely would want to travel to lots of other destinations via the Eurostar. So definitely places like Brussels or Paris itself, and even parts of Germany definitely interest us. So as a family or even just as a couple, you never know, we might be able to go on a couple's holiday, a little city break away at some point without Emily. Who knows, we'll see. But definitely Eurostar is a method of transport we would definitely use. Again, as I say, we've been travelling on the Eurostar for many years now, but only really to Disneyland Paris, so we're obviously quite used to that journey. But heading over to Brussels is a very short journey, just Paris itself, or as I say, further afield, Germany and other places like that definitely interest us. So watch this space. I'm sure there'll be lots more videos to come here on the Brownie Life for other city breaks such as that via the Eurostar. So I'm sure whichever destination you pick for Eurostar, I'm pretty sure, you know, they will do everything they can to make sure you have a smooth and pleasant journey. And as I say, travelling to Lille just seems to be so incredibly easy and very quick. The interconnecting trains are usually where issues sometimes with luggage and busyness and things such as that, but the actual Eurostar journeys themselves we've always found have gone smoothly and just really good. You know, we've really always enjoyed travelling by Eurostar. So now everyone, what happens when it goes wrong, when you miss your Eurostar from your destination? What do Eurostar do about it? You know, what can you do about it? What happens in those cases? So now I'm going to get to that. So first of all, let me just point out that when we actually book our Eurostar train tickets to go to and from Disneyland Paris, it does cover the interconnecting trains that we get to and from Lille in France. So even though those particular legs of the journey are with a different French train, it's not the Eurostar, it is booked through the Eurostar. So the reason why I'm saying that is because if you do have interconnecting trains that you book directly yourself from anywhere, you know, if you get in a train through to Amsterdam, Germany, and anywhere at all, if you're getting a Eurostar train but you're booking sort of separate trains, not through the Eurostar, this might not apply in the sense that you might be responsible when things are late or cancelled, etc. If you're making a booking directly with Eurostar, so wherever your final destination is and whatever trains you need to get in that journey, so for us personally going to Disneyland Paris, we get the Eurostar from London over to Lille, get an interconnecting train, which is a French train, usually a TGV or a SNCF train, from Lille straight to Marne Valley in Disneyland Paris. But because that whole journey is booked through the Eurostar, then this then applies to you in the sense that if you've booked everything through Eurostar and something wrong happens, you know, something happens where you can't get home, they need to obviously try to sort it out for you. So it's only if you book everything directly with Eurostar themselves. So what happened to us? What's our story on the way home from Disneyland Paris? We got an email from Eurostar on the day that we were actually going home from Disneyland Paris. So we were just just in the parks doing our ordinary thing, my husband checked his phone, checked his emails, and realised that there was going to be an issue with a delay from the train from Disneyland Paris all the way through to Lille, and therefore we would miss our Eurostar train, because often the connecting trains to the Eurostar, there isn't always a massive gap. Sometimes it might only be 30 minutes, 40 minutes. It doesn't give you an awful lot of time to get through security and check-in and things like that at the French end to get on the Eurostar, but usually it's been absolutely fine. Even with very little time to spare, we're usually checking in at Lille and going straight onto the Eurostar basically. Never had an issue before until now. So as I say, he checked his emails, we knew there was going to be a delay, and because of the delay we were likely to obviously miss the Eurostar train. We didn't know if the Eurostar train would then wait for us or something like that would happen. So what my husband decided to do was actually ring the Eurostar number which was on the email. So that's definitely a point of call, that if you get an email through suggesting any delay or issues with your train, whether it be a direct Eurostar or an interconnecting train, if you get something through from Eurostar on the day that you're travelling home or going somewhere, you know, because this could happen to you in the journey going out, couldn't it? So if you get an email from Eurostar, there should be a telephone number on there for you to contact them to discuss it further, to see what your options are, you know, what's happening, and you know what you need to do at your end. In all honesty, we did actually think the chances of us getting through on this number and getting any type of advice was probably quite slim. We thought we're bound to be holding in a queue or something, or someone will answer and we won't have a clue what we're doing. So we did actually start to panic just a little bit, thinking, how are we going to get home? Obviously, first of all, I just thought, well, we might be able to stay in Disneyland Paris for another day, but no, we can't do that. So basically what actually happened is he did get through, and he got through very quickly. So first thing with Eurostar is that they did answer the phone very, very quickly, a really helpful lady explaining the position. So our interconnecting train was being delayed, and therefore we would definitely miss the Eurostar train. The Eurostar will not wait for any other interconnecting train. Even though you've booked it directly with the Eurostar, it's not going to wait for you. That planned Eurostar is going to go on time. So we knew we were going to miss it. However, again, panic set in a little bit, in the sense that we thought, right, okay, so if we get to Lille train station in the middle of France, what happens then? As we understood when we actually made the booking for the Eurostar, the return journey coming home, we actually thought that we were getting the last Eurostar home. Now it turns out the lady on the telephone from Eurostar did actually explain there was another Eurostar later on in that evening that we didn't know about, we weren't aware of. It doesn't actually show up on the bookings for some reason. I don't know if it's a UK thing, that it's not available to us here in the UK, but it is for other countries, not entirely sure. I've no idea where this Eurostar kind of came from, because it wasn't listed on the bookings, so to speak, and that could easily happen to you, whereby you think you're getting the last Eurostar and actually there might be another one much later on in the evening. So this one was quite a little bit later on, but she did explain that we'd be absolutely fine transferring our tickets over and getting this other Eurostar. So all we did is we went along to Disneyland Paris train station at the same time as we would have normally done. That's definitely a point to note, because I myself thought, well, if we're going to be delayed by quite a bit, why not stay in Disney for a little bit longer and just go along to the train station later on? But you definitely can't do that, because there is always a chance. We were told when we got to Disneyland Paris, we were told that the train could come in at any point. It could be delayed for 40 minutes, which is what we were initially told. At the very, very start, it was 20 minutes, then it was 40, 45, it kind of just kept going up. But potentially, even if you're told it could be half an hour, then it changes to 2 hours or something like that. There's always a potential it comes in early. So what they always tell you, the advice is, you still go to the train station exactly as you would as if you're getting that train. So the only really downside for us is that we had to wait in Disneyland Paris station for quite a while we were waiting for this train to arrive, the delayed service from Disneyland Paris over to Lille. So then when we arrived in Lille, we just did the standard check-in procedures, passport control and everything, and then simply just waited there for the other Eurostar that was coming. As I say, this was a Eurostar that we were not aware of, but we were obviously told on the telephone lines that this was another train that was available. So when we got to Lille, all they did is, in a little office, they just transferred the tickets over. I think they stamped something, and I think they just stapled some other document to our tickets, basically to assure that whoever was checking the tickets on the Eurostar, that we definitely had a seat on the Eurostar. They did everything they could as well to seat us together, so I thought that was something else that was really, really good. Obviously Emily's a teen, it's not that she's a small child or anything, but I do think that that was really good that they did look around on the seats available to see if we could all sit together as a family. As it goes, we did actually get 2 seats together with me and Emily, and my husband sat behind with somebody else. But in the circumstances, I thought that was excellent. How they dealt with it, very, very fast, very easy. You know, there was no sort of stressing about anything whatsoever. They assured us everything was fine, and then we just got on the later Eurostar. Now, what would happen if there wasn't another Eurostar? I'm not entirely sure. I would assume the lady did discuss initially over the telephone, if there hadn't have been that other Eurostar, that it would have involved an overnight stay, and we maybe would have had to pay for that, claim off our travel insurance. I'm not sure if that was entirely right, because obviously if it was the Interconnecting Train, you've booked it all through Eurostar, maybe they would then be responsible to pay that bill, but it might be something that you'd have to claim through your travel insurance initially. I'm not entirely sure, because that didn't obviously happen in the end. We did think that that was a possibility, but there was another Eurostar train, so we managed to get on it. And as I say, Eurostar did everything they could to make sure that we did get home safely. Now, earlier on, I did mention, I put a note across the screen about a CIV ticket. So the CIV ticket comes in exceptionally handy if you're travelling by train in the UK and you're going to get some other international train, such as the Eurostar. So obviously the Eurostar going out or coming back the other way, you're obviously going to have interconnecting trains here in the UK that you'll be catching, and therefore if there's any type of delay and things that happen to us, you're obviously going to miss your UK train. So for us, the train that we had booked with LNER, we clearly missed that train due to the Eurostar being much later. So we weren't able to get the train that we were initially going to get. So when we got to King's Cross, so obviously we got off at St Pancras, walked across to King's Cross station, and then went to see somebody to do with LNER. They did actually explain obviously about the CIV ticket, because we had that, then we were quite easily able to transfer the ticket over to another train. Luckily for us, we managed to get the last train home from London, obviously to get home, you know, for other transport and things from there. So we were fine, and it worked out for us. Obviously, it might not work out if you've missed literally the last London train back to wherever you want to be in the UK, then that might cause more of an issue. But the important thing to note is getting a CIV ticket, basically because it does secure that interconnecting transfer from the international travel with the Eurostar, obviously getting another train with LNER, because without it, they wouldn't have guaranteed that we would be able to get another seat on another train. I think it's at their discretion. Obviously, it was really, really late at night, and it was the last train leaving from London King's Cross. So I think for them to leave us stranded, I think would have been quite desperate, really. I think, in all honesty, I think out of fairness, they probably would have put us on that train, but we would have had to pay again, probably for that ticket, quite possibly. So to get the CIV basically just means that it's an extra part of the ticket. You usually have to pay that little bit more for it. Now, if it costs you an absolute fortune to get the CIV added on, I can understand why people might not get it, because they might just take the chances. But for us, we've often tried to get the CIV ticket. And a long time ago, the CIV part of the ticket wasn't something that actually cost any more money. It seems to be something that's more recent, where the price is actually slightly different. So for us going out this time, the journey going out, we didn't get the CIV ticket because the price was exceptionally more money, so we didn't bother with that. And also we thought, well, there probably would be another way to get over to Disneyland Paris, either via Paris itself, Gare du Nord, if there was an issue getting to Lille, etc. We've just thought there would be another way for us to get there, whereas the coming home journey for us was a bit more of a worry, because we were catching what we thought was the last Eurostar. So that's why we paid for the CIV ticket to come home. So it did cost us a little bit more money, but not that much more money at all. So it's definitely worth looking at if you're booking a train, and I believe it's all train services, so not just LNER, you could be booking any other UK train services. So if you're catching a Eurostar, but you need to obviously have UK transport links, then obviously just double check when you're purchasing your train ticket to London that, you know, you could potentially get a CIV ticket together added on, so you've got that international security really, in order to get somewhere where you're going, or indeed in able to get you home and put you on another train at no extra cost. As as I say, it is something that you might need to take into consideration with the price. And for us, we've had to actually go into a train station to actually book that CIV ticket. You can't always purchase it online. So through LNER, usually purchasing tickets is quite easy and things on the app, but you can't do the CIV ticket. You have to actually go into a train station to do that. So that's something else to possibly bear in mind. So I hope I've explained a little bit about the CIV ticket and how it works. Comment down below if you've had any issues yourself with journeys with Eurostar, delays, cancellations or anything like that. And have you ever used a CIV ticket and has that helped you, you know, obviously get home and things? Have you been in a situation where you didn't know about a CIV ticket and you didn't purchase one and you did actually have an issue in terms of getting home or going over to a destination? So just comment down below, you know, drop us a line in terms of any issues that you may have had and anything that resonates with you in this video that you've also done very similar to us. In all honesty, LNER dealt with it really well in getting us from King's Cross to our destination on that particular evening. As I say, we did have the CIV, so that was obviously guaranteed to get us on a train. It was the last train though. And the gentleman that we went to see, you know, to do with LNER did actually even wheel our cases, you know, helped us with our luggage onto the train, wrote on back of the ticket in terms of we were transferring the ticket across so that in case anyone did check our tickets. In actual fact, they didn't, I think because it was really late on. I don't think there was anyone really about checking tickets. But if they had have checked it, then everything was all above board that we were allowed to be on that train home. So LNER dealt with it really, really well. And Eurostar themselves, as I say, they kept us fully informed by email. We had the telephone conversation with them. They were really, really good in Lille, explaining everything to us, transferring those tickets over so that we could get onto that other Eurostar. So everything just worked out perfectly well for us. So what started out quite tricky in the sense that, you know, we were actually panicking a little bit, thinking we weren't going to get home or what we were going to do in terms of, you know, staying over somewhere, because as I say, it's not as simple as we could stay another night in Disney, because it doesn't work like that. So I was worried at being stuck in the middle of France and not being able to obviously get home. So they really just obviously kept everything at ease, really not stressful at all, and just managed to transfer us over and we managed to get home safe and sound. So that was our journey with the Eurostar. If you're interested in Disneyland Paris, definitely head over to our second channel, Disney Brownies. Our travel date is on there. Our holiday highlights is coming up really soon on Friday. So that showcases really everything we got up to in Disneyland Paris for 1 week. So if you're interested in that, go head over to our other channel. I definitely recommend you watching our travel day to Disneyland Paris, because although I have put some bits of footage on this video, the other video will explain obviously more specifically to do with getting to Disneyland Paris. And you may not be aware that we've done that video. So now that you do know, and if you've got any intentions of going to Disneyland Paris or even just to Lille in France, you know, if you've got any plans to go there, and in terms of interconnecting trains and things such as that, I think you'd find that video really useful. So definitely head over to Disney Brownies to watch that. I hope you found the video really useful. I hope it's been a good guide. I hope I've given lots of information to you. Hopefully I've not babbled on too much. It's quite difficult when you're doing a sit down informative video really to get all the information in without being too boring. So I hope I've not been too boring and I've not waffled on too much. So I really hope you've enjoyed it. Hope it's been useful. Comment down below anything that has been useful to you or anything you want to comment to do with this video. Definitely give us a like and definitely subscribe to our channel here at The Brownie Life. Lots more videos to come. Definitely lots more Prremier, lots of information on my weight loss journey, and just lots more to come, guys. So we'll see you next time. Bye.